Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the recorded version of our March 22nd workshop on career readiness and competencies and prototyping. And we missed a few of you at the in-person workshop, and so that's what this recording is for. And of course, for those of you who were there, there's a couple of extra slides, a couple of um, new bits of info that I have added in case you want to go ahead and um, and check it out. And I did go ahead and beef up that prototyping section at the end because, as you remember, we did run out of time, and we didn't really get to do a lot of brainstorming with that. So I have beefed up that section a little bit. So check that out as well. So let's go ahead and get started. And let's talk a little bit about the career readiness competencies. And you will find a couple of um, um, handouts in your binder about the career readiness competencies. You'll find a big handout with all 8 of them with lots of details on each one, and we're going to talk about them here. But you'll have the chance to go ahead and read at your leisure about them as well in that particular handout. So let's go ahead and dive into the competencies. And basically what these are they're just, there's 8 very broad areas. And you'll see those in a few minutes, or if you're looking at your handout, you can see what they are right now. And these are actually the skills that you are going to find that employers everywhere, across all industries, across all areas, are seeking in their workforce. And it's all, like I said, all areas, all industries. If you're going into nursing, if you're going into law, if you're going into computers, these 8 broad areas are going to be looked at by all of those industries. And you're going to find that, to be a highly qualified candidate for these jobs, you'll have reflected on these competencies, and you'll be able to go through each one of them and say, yes, I can give you this skill and this skill and this skill. And you're going to find that that's really going to give you a leg up when you do hit the workforce and look for those entry level and jobs, and then of course all jobs for the rest of your career. So I guess the big question is like, why do you want to focus on those now while you're in school? You've got all your time and energy is really put towards other things right now. And so this is just, one more thing to concentrate on. But the reason that we want to look at these now is because you're just in a great time in your life, both in school and in your life, where you can really focus on beefing up these competencies. And if you do that now, when you do enter the workforce, you will have developed the skills that the employers want. And you'll see that they'll be transferable between all of the different jobs, all of the different careers that you may have over the course of your life. And you're going to be able to tell your story. And I think that that's just really one of the most crucial things. Everywhere you go, everyone you talk to, the first thing they're going to say is learn how to read, learn how to write, and learn how to speak. And to be an effective communicator is absolutely key. And in order to be able to communicate your skills and your competencies, you need to be able to have reflected on those and know exactly what they are and how you came to have them. And then, of course, knowledge never ceases, education never ceases. You're going to want to reflect on your readiness for years and years to come. And they will help you identify areas that you want to grow into, whether you want to go to grad school or you want to become certified in something or you want to start your own business. All of those things, these readiness competencies are going to help you reflect on all of that. So here they are. Here's the 8 competencies. And we'll just go through them line by line. And then what we'll do the next slide is you're going to see the all the brainstorming that we did at the in-person workshop. And that'll be fun for you to see that big messy whiteboard that we put together as a group. But you'll see when you're reading these, you're reading them in the voice of the employer. This is what the employer is looking for when they are interviewing you, when they're writing their job description, when they're reading your resume and your cover letter. This is what the employers are looking for. So let's take a look. We'll start with career and self-development. And basically, that's just you are proactively developing your career through continual personal and professional learning, awareness of one's strengths and weaknesses, navigation of career opportunities, and networking to build relationships. So these are all things that we've already talked about, really. The importance of networking. You all took a look at your strengths and your weaknesses and your interests when you did Schwartz and when you did the Strong, and you're continually doing personal and professional learning. That's something that never goes away. Second one, let's look at communication. So you're clearly and effectively exchanging information, ideas, facts, and perspectives. This is something that you do every day. You know you do. You are constantly talking to people. You're constantly listening. You're constantly writing things down. And so communication, like I said in the last slide, absolutely key to being able to tell your own story. And so really beefing up this competency is something that you want to focus on. Critical thinking, again, identifying and responding to needs based upon an understanding of situational context and logical analysis. And we'll talk a little bit more about all of these when we get to the next slide, because we'll be able to see what you all came up with as far as brainstorming some of these. But critical thinking, we talk a lot about that, especially with the last couple of years, with all the things that have been in the news, all of these big, huge worldwide issues that are going on, with the pandemic, with our politics, with war, all of these things. Critically thinking about all of those things is absolutely key, and finding out different sources of information in order to get all sides of the stories. And that is not just these huge uber worldwide things. You can focus that down into, the smallest of issues that you're dealing with in your life, whether it be in your classes, whether it be in your family, whether it be in your friend group. Equity and inclusion. This is obviously incredibly huge, especially these days when we're talking so much about race, gender and sexuality, all of these different things, disability, all of these different things that we want to make sure we're very knowledgeable of. And we can demonstrate the awareness and the attitude and the knowledge required to engage and include people from all different walks of life. Leadership, that's something that I'm sure you have definitely come in contact with in these last several years as you've been a student. not just in your schoolwork, but taking on job responsibilities, taking on club responsibilities, all of these different things where you can really hone those leadership skills that are so important. Professionalism, obviously, this is huge. Not every job or every career is going to have the same level as others. You're going to be, if you're working in a law office, you're definitely going to be having a different level of professionalism than if you are a contractor. But knowing these work environments differ greatly, but being able to understand the effective work habits that are in your particular environment, just little things like, calling in sick if you're sick, or being on time, little things like that, all the way up to the huge, more overarching things like knowing the ethics of your profession, things like that. Teamwork is the seventh one, and that's something that you have all been involved with for years and years as well, through your jobs and through your classes and your home life. And then the eighth one is technology. And, we all know that changes on a dime. And being able to understand all the different technologies and to use them ethically to enhance, your job, to be able to complete your tasks and accomplish your goals. So those are those eight, really broad areas. And you can see just from listening to me for the past 10 minutes, you can see that you already have such a handle on all of these. So let's just take a quick look on what we came up with as a group at our workshop. And those of you who weren't there, you can kind of get a little bit of an idea of the very lively discussion that we had, talking about what you all are doing now to really work on these competencies. And so you'll be able to see we started with career, a lot of the things that you said you're already doing. You're going to career advising, you're going to coaching, you have jobs, you're going to classes, you've done the Strong, you've done the Schwartz, all of those things that are getting you set up to not only have the knowledge that you need in order to be successful in your career, but all of those other things that come with it. And what you're going to see if we look at this board, and I'm sure it's already occurred to you as we talked through the last slide, is that these all feed on each other and they are all intertwined in some way, as you'll see from all of the arrows that we have going on the board here. You'll see that so many things lead back to other things. Communication. You guys are talking to your professors. You're talking to other organizations. You're talking to other professionals. Talking to your future self. That I thought was a really great one that somebody threw out, as far as like talking to yourself and asking yourself, what is it that you want, and how can we do that together? Critical thinking. This was another one. You're going to class. You are looking at different ways of your social media, your TV. How are you gathering your news? How are you gathering your entertainment? And then also, how are you using your time? Are you spending a lot of time looking at your phone when you could be looking at other people, when you could be going to class, when you could be taking a walk or a hike or something like that? So taking a look at how you're using your time. Um, and learning about all positions, not just the one that you are most comfortable with. Looking at what you believe. One that somebody threw out is looking at the citations that are actually in what you're reading. Don't just take what you're reading at face value. Go back to the source. Look at all of the source material that you're reading about. Then we went down to equity and inclusion. And that one, you're going to events. The day we met was the day of the powwow. Many of you were going to the powwow. You're going to different trainings. We mentioned going to the DISC office, which is the Diversity and Inclusion Student Commons that is here in the sub. Going in there and talking with them about all of the different uh, inclusion opportunities that they have available to the student body. The American Indian Council, the Multicultural Center, all of these things you can be doing right now to really beef up that equity and inclusion competency that people are really going to be looking for. And that's never going away because, as you know, this world is getting, much smaller, and we all have to work with so many other people that are, of different cultures, different ethnicities, races, genders, sexualities. We want to make sure that we know how to work well with everybody. So leadership was the next one that we looked at. You had a lot of great things to say about what you're doing now in the leadership area, student teaching, joining the executive group at the American Indian Council or any other group that you might be interested. Running for office, running for student office is a great way to beef up that leadership. Just having jobs, having different experience levels within your job, and then job sharing with some of the other people that you work with, so that you all know what each other is doing. And then this was a great one, actions, being aware of your actions and knowing that other people are watching you. And so that's a great way to show leadership, is to, model that good leadership. And that's one of the ones that just feed into everything else. That feeds into critical thinking, professionalism, equity and inclusion, teamwork. And so the next one we looked at, professionalism. And let's see, you all said some really great things about that. Making ethical decisions, knowing your deadlines, knowing your expectations, and meeting or exceeding those expectations. Knowing the culture of your office or your organization, balancing all parts of your life. We talk about leaving things at the door, and when you are, working or going to school, sometimes you need to leave all that at the front door so that you can go home and have a life with your family or your partner or any of the other people in your life. Changing communication style for the appropriate audience. That's a really great one. You're definitely going to communicate differently when you're talking with your professors than you are when you are playing a, game of pickup basketball. So changing that communication style for whatever audience is you're working with at the time. I believe then we went down to teamwork, which is down in the very low left-hand corner. a lot of the things you're doing right now, everything goes back to, your jobs that you have right now. Many of you are doing capstone projects, you're doing group projects, you're doing a lot of things, working with teammates. This slide did get cut off a little bit, and I'm trying to remember. Holding up your end is one of the things we wrote down, is huge when it comes to teamwork. You don't want to be that one person who's not doing their part of the work. And then after that, I believe the last one we talked about was we went up to the upper right-hand corner, that in blue, and talked a little bit about that technology piece and what you're doing now, D2L, computer calendars, training in new technology, knowing when technology is appropriate. That again goes to critical thinking, that goes to professionalism. We talked a little bit about knowing what technology is appropriate for when you are doing your job search, when you have become a professional person out in the world, and whether or not you want whatever is on your Instagram or your TikTok to be public to everybody that is looking at you, maybe for potential positions, maybe going to a service like LinkedIn is better for your online presence when it comes to job searching and that kind of thing. So this just gives you a little bit of an idea. Those of you who were there and in the room, we talked about a lot of stuff that I don't think made it on the board. Most of it did, but some of it didn't. But I think this is just a good reminder to you to keep looking at these, because you can add to these, indefinitely. Every single one of these 8 different competencies they're never ending. So keep adding to them, keep thinking about them. Have these 8 things always in the back of your mind. Everything you do, just kind of take a look and say, okay, what am I doing that's building up my critical thinking? What am I doing that's building up my career? All of these things. And I would actually say, maybe even start keeping a journal or something like that, where you can say, today I did this, or and I really feel like it taught me some really good lessons about professionalism or equity and inclusion. And those are all things that you could, maybe do to prepare these last couple of weeks or months or years until you are out there working on your, getting those jobs that are going to really jumpstart your career. So I think, so we do have one more slide on the competencies. And just remember that these are ever growing, ever changing. You're never going to be 100% competent in any of these areas, because there's always going to be more things for you to discover and develop. So if you do have a competency that you feel is quite low right now, take a look at that, think about that, and think about what you can do to develop the strength in that area. And like we've talked about, this doesn't have to be just at school. This doesn't have to be just at work. These are things that you can draw from all aspects of your life. These are things that you can draw from your childhood, how you grew up, your parents, when you go home on the weekends and in the summers, how do you interact with your families and your communities, and draw from those competencies to put those into your meaningful career. And I think I'll stop right there on competencies. And I think you have all the materials that I think you need. Look in your binder. You do have the competencies. And let's move into the second part of our workshop. And let's take a look at this video. And when you're watching this video, there is a lot to unpack in this video. And a lot of people show this video for differing reasons. As you watch it, you're going to see there's a lot of information about innovation. There's a lot of information about brainstorming. There's a lot of information about teamwork. And those are all great takeaways. Please, watch it over and over for all of those takeaways. But what I would like you to do while you're watching this is I want you to think about the shopping cart as a metaphor for your career. And that's all I'm going to say now. Just think about that. And then after the video, we're going to get together and we're going to talk a little bit more about that shopping cart and prototyping that shopping cart and how you can also do that with your career. So let's hope that this works.
9 in the morning, day one, and these people have a deadline to meet.
So welcome to the kickoff of the shopping cart project.
This is Palo Alto, California, in the heart of Silicon Valley. And these are designers at IDEO, probably the most influential product development firm in the world. Designers are the reason TVs have square screens, chairs 4 legs, and toothbrushes nowadays those squishy handles. In fact, it was IDEO that designed those squishy handles. IDEO has designed everything from high-tech medical equipment to the 25-foot mechanical whale in the movie Free Willy and the first computer mouse for Apple. Smith ski goggles, Nike sunglasses, NEC computer screens. Hundreds of products we take for granted.
This is called the Neat Squeeze toothpaste tube, which
You invented that. The man who runs IDEO is Dave Kelly, a Stanford engineering professor with a Groucho Marx mustache, a dad of genius, and an approach to innovation that usually works,
Thank you, Fred.
but not always.
I can show you some products that failed. Came up with this idea called monster shoes, where you take these little monsters and lace them into your shoes like this. And we built a bunch of them, and I didn't want those either. So
Mostly what IDEO designs, though, does work, and it works very well. Dave and his design teams create about 90 new products every year.
the point is that we're not actually experts at any given area. We're kind of experts on the process of how you design stuff. So we don't care if you give us a toothbrush, a toothpaste tube, a tractor, a space shuttle, a chair. It's all the same to us. We want to figure out how to innovate by using our process, applying it.
And so for the next 5 days, the team will apply that process to bringing the supermarket shopping cart into the 21st century.
I think first we should maybe all acknowledge that it's kind of insane to do an entire project in a week.
Project leader is Peter Skillman, a 35-year-old Stanford engineer. Project leader because he's good with groups, not because of seniority. He's only been at IDEO for 6 years. The rest of the team is eclectic, but that's typical here. Whitney Mortimer, Harvard MBA. Peter Coughlin, linguist. Tom Kelly, Dave's brother, marketing expert. Jane Fulton-Suri, psychologist. Alex Kazaks, 26, a biology major, who's turned down medical school 3 times because he's having too much fun at IDEO.
Kids climbing up and doing this.
Kids do that.
Safety emerges early as an important issue.
22,000 child injuries a year, and so they're hospitalized injuries. I mean, there are many others.
Not just reported in the store. You actually have to go to the
that's
emergency room.
hospitalized,
Wow.
right.
And theft. It turns out a lot of carts are stolen.
What is the average life of a cart? Does it last 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? And how big is this theft thing?
10 a.m. As the team works, it becomes clear there are no titles here, no permanent assignments.
The other side gives us a lot of help, says, be safe.
Everyone appears to be equal, and they love to mock corporate America.
I'll give you status. I'll give you a big red ball on a post, and that says you're a big guy. If you got a ball, you're a senior vice president. You know, what do I care? The desk, the red ball, it's all the same. In a very innovative culture, you can't have a kind of hierarchy of here's the boss and the next person down, the next person down, the next person down, because it's impossible that the boss is the one who's had the insightful experience with shopping carts. It's just not possible.
According to Kelly, even employees who merely listen to the boss don't add that much either.
So you gotta hire people who don't listen to you. And that, I don't think corporate America wants to hear that right yet.
I think we ought to start making those lists about the kind of questions that we're going to ask.
The team splits into groups to find out firsthand what the people who use, make, and repair shopping carts really think.
Okay, go.
The problem with the plastic cart is the wind catches it.
Yeah.
And these things have been clocked at 35 across the parking lot.
Man, that's actually a pretty good point.
The trick is to find these real experts, and so that you can learn much more quickly than you could by just kind of doing it the normal way and trying to learn about it yourself.
From everything I read, these things aren't that safe either, you know? So probably the seat itself is going to have to be redesigned.
What you're seeing here is the kind of social science, like anthropologists, you know, like you go and study tribes. What is it that they do that we can learn from that will help us design a better cart?
One of the interesting things for me is looking at how people really don't like to let go of the cart, except for the professional shopper, whose strategy is to leave the cart at various places.
3:30 in the afternoon, and the group is back at IDEO. There is no let-up.
Each team is going to demonstrate and communicate and share everything that they've learned today. People went off into the four corners of the earth and are coming back with the golden keys to the innovation.
We were in the store, 2 hours, and it was truly frightening just to see the kind of stuff going on.
You got to designate some people to make damn sure that the store owner's point of view is represented.
After 9 straight hours, the team is tired. They call it a day.
So,
Everybody cool?
well, that's great. Thanks a lot. We had a great time today. I want to get together and start here.
Day 2 and the start of IDEO's unique brand of brainstorming. They call it a deep dive, a sort of total immersion in the problem at hand. IDEO's mantra for innovation is written everywhere. One conversation at a time. Stay focused. Encourage wild ideas. Defer judgment. Build on the ideas of others.
That's the hardest thing for people to do, is to restrain themselves from criticizing an idea. So if anybody starts to nail an idea, they get the bell.
The deep dive begins, and for the next few hours, the ideas pour out and are posted on the walls.
Oh, the blind, the privacy blind. Like when you're buying 6 cases of condoms, no one sees. Nesting is, it sort of has to nest. If it doesn't nest, we don't have a solution.
How about Velcro pants and Velcro seats for the kids, and you just drop them down on there?
Like Velcro seats? Velcro pants for kids?
Yeah, see, you have to have some wild ideas. If then you build on those wild ideas, and they end up being better ideas than if you said, if everybody only came up with same things, you know, kind of appropriate things, you'd never like have any points to take off to build a really innovative idea.
It's organized chaos.
Organized chaos. It's not organized. What it is it's focused chaos.
By 11 a.m., the group begins narrowing down the hundreds of ideas written or drawn on the walls. How? By voting for them.
Vote with your Post-it, not with an idea that's cool, but with an idea that's cool and buildable. If it's too far out there and it can't be built in a day, then I don't think we should vote on it.
Why not have you be the judge? You're the
Because I'm going to be wrong. It's the team that's able to really judge with the best ideas.
Otherwise, ideas wouldn't come out?
That's right. Enlightened trial and error succeeds over the planning of lone genius.
Enlightened trial and error succeeds over the planning of the lone genius. If anything sums up IDEO's approach, that is it. That and the focused chaos that seems to go with it.
I take a point of view. I call it the sport utility vehicle cart.
It is noon. Worried that the team is drifting, what can only be called a group of self-appointed adults under Dave Kelly holds an informal side session.
We don't want to tell them what to build, or else we take away the benefit of the whole thing, right?
What needs should they optimize their solutions? Yes.
The purpose is to refocus the deep dive.
Maybe we arbitrarily say we do 5 teams. 4 or 5 teams.
4 or 5.
4 or 5 teams, and we give each team a need area. Hey, can we grab everybody over to the wall here? There has to be a command decision. It becomes very autocratic for a very short period of time in defining what things people are going to work on.
Like it or not, the team is told it will split into groups to build mock-ups, covering 4 areas of concern that have been identified: shopping, safety, checkout, and finding what you're looking for.
I noticed that toward the end of the process, the adults took over.
Yeah, that's because we have no choice but to stop that cycle. I mean, there's if you don't work under time constraints, you could never get anything done because it's a messy process and go on forever.
While the team starts building prototypes, Dave Kelly takes me on a tour of the rest of IDEO.
What's happening in here is that's a client meeting. That's a first client meeting. That's the first time we've met with the client. So we haven't trained them yet. If we took them straight from there into a room where music was blaring and everybody was throwing Nerf darts at each other, that would be a little hard to take. So we're warming them up. But this is where the crazies live. This is where we do our work. It's different. You can tell whether a place is playful in about the first 15 minutes as you walk down the hall. Being playful is of huge importance for being innovative. I mean, if you go into a culture and there's a bunch of stiffs going around, I can guarantee they're not likely to invent anything.
Invent anything like this futuristic-looking instrument for kids.
So no matter what you do with that thing, you always
sound great. You've got these little wings that no matter what you do, if I get in trouble here, it's always a spiral.
At IDEO, they found that fresh ideas come faster in a fun place. Not only is the furniture on wheels to suit the needs of the moment, but people are encouraged actually to build their own work areas.
They were designing this space and they said to me, we'd like to have, $4,000 extra in our budget for a DC-3 wing. And I said, DC, you have to have that? And they said, yeah, they have to have it. So that's
a DC-3 wing.
Piece of a DC-3 wing, yeah.
And that's just decor.
That's decor. That's ambiance. That says we're weird and we're proud of it.
Umbrellas on the ceiling to shade computer screens from direct sunlight. And bicycles on ropes to prevent clutter.
The first guy who hung a bike up on a thing, he didn't come to me and ask me. He didn't ask some facilities person was okay. He tried it. And then, he waited and see if anybody complained. If nobody complained, another guy hung a bike up. And pretty soon, everybody's got their bikes up and nobody's complained, right? So it's that whole thing of trying stuff and ask forgiveness, instead of asking permission, is the way people come up with new ideas.
IDEO has such a reputation for innovation that client companies are increasingly asking Dave, not just for new products, but also to remake their corporate cultures. You may be looking at the workplace of the future here.
It's one thing to be able to do a product once in a while, but if you can build a culture and a process where you routinely come up with great ideas, that's what the companies really want. Okay, Peter, we're done.
Back at the shop, it is 6 o'clock. The 4 mock-ups are ready for showing.
Baskets also can be, if you think we'll have more volume, baskets can be put in.
A modular shopping cart you pile hand baskets onto. A high-tech cart that gets you through the traffic jam at checkout.
That you could mount a scanner on the shopping cart so that you as the customer, as you pull it off the shelf, would scan each item.
One that's built around child safety. And another that lets shoppers talk to the supermarket staff remotely.
Yeah, where can I find a yogurt?
But the adults, again, decide more work needs to be done before the mock-ups can be combined into one last prototype.
Why don't we have all the cards come up here for a second?
I think you take a piece of each one of these ideas and kind of back it off a little bit and then put it in the design.
The design is still not there, but there's another motto at IDEO: fail often in order to succeed sooner. And some of the team will be up half the night trying to put together a design that finally does work. It is day 5, and Dave Kelly has no idea what the final cart looks like. Only the team does.
If they kind of got their heads down, they don't look at me, I'm nervous. If they say, wait till you see it, then I know we're in good shape. So I'm getting wait until you see it. I think that'll be good.
There it is! So we took the best elements out of each prototype, designed this entire cart in a day, and then this cart was fabricated in a day with an amazing team of people in our machine shop toying this off, working in shifts throughout the night.
Wow, I'm impressed.
So are we.
The cart, which is designed to cost about the same as today's carts, is different in every other way. Hand baskets that stack in a metal frame and major improvements for all.
What do you think? It's,
Well, I'm very proud of the team. I think it's great.
does this work for you?
Works for me great. It's also beautiful. I mean, let's take it over to a local supermarket and see what they say.
Yeah, it worked really well.
The cart's wheels turn 90 degrees so it can move sideways. No more lifting up the rear in a tight spot. And you shop in a totally different way. But the bags are hung on hooks on the cart's frame. Remember, there is no basket here.
Talk to me about theft.
There's no value in this cart without the basket because you can't carry anything. It's useless to anybody. You can't use it as a barbecue.
So it's not going to get stolen.
That's right.
So this ought to appeal to store owners.
Yes.
I love it. I think it looks great.
At first, I was a little shocked, but I think you have some fantastic ideas here. It needs a little refining, but I think that it's great. I mean, we would want them.
It makes us feel great. And she also gave us some really good comments about how we can make this thing better.
Just wherever you are, look around. The only thing that's not designed by somebody is nature. So the trees are not designed by us, but everything you see, every light fitting, every flower vase, every scale, every stand for fruit, everything is designed, has to go through this kind of process. And they can do a better or a worse job of innovating or improving, but everything is designed. It has to go through this process.
It wasn't this effortless, oh my God, so that's how it works thing that I saw there. It was actually hard work.
It's a lot of hard work. We all love it, so it doesn't look like it's hard work, but it's a lot of hours.
A lot of hours. Also, an open mind, a boss who demands fresh ideas be quirky and clash with his, a belief that chaos can be constructive, and teamwork. A great deal of teamwork. And these are the recipe for how innovation takes place. Nine in the
All right. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that. So yeah, before the video came on, I asked you to watch it as a shopping cart, as a metaphor for your career. And basically, what that means is this group, they brainstormed, they asked questions, they came up with an idea, and worked together to put together a physical prototype. And when we talk about prototyping your career, what we mean is you are in this wonderful time in your life as a college student that you can take a look at different careers in the physical sense and decide whether or not they are for you, instead of saying, okay, this is what I want to do, this is what I know I want to do, and then going out and doing that thing and getting a job, and suddenly you find out, wow, this is really not what I wanted to do after all. So that's what we mean by prototyping a career, is what can you do now to make sure that that career that you are going to pursue when you graduate is actually going to work out for you. It's actually going to make you happy. It's going to make you fulfilled. It's going to give you purpose. So what did the shopping cart teach you about prototyping your career? Think about everything that those people did in those 5 days. First of all, they sought out people from different backgrounds and experiences. They went to the supermarket. They talked to the people who work with these shopping carts every single day, and they sought out their expertise. They asked them questions and actually listened to what they had to say. And then they went on to do, that wild brainstorming, where no idea is too wild. And then you do find those wild ideas and you build on those wild ideas. And what that means when it comes to prototyping a career is don't necessarily say, oh, well, that's not really, I'm in computer engineering, so I need to stick to this wheelhouse. I need to do only the things that I've been learning about for the past several years. What you can do is you can start brainstorming. You can say, okay, I'm in computer engineers, but I also love hiking. I love being in the outdoors. You can take those things that are not necessarily a part of your life as a student and you can meld them into the things that are part of your life as a person, and meld those things together and see if you can get your interests and your strengths and all of those different things that make you into one idea or a couple of ideas that you can go about prototyping. And again, so talk to the experts and learn quickly. Again, that seeking out different people, different experiences, and like I said, that helps you learn quickly. You don't have to spend years and years trying to think of an idea. You can actually learn very quickly just by talking to people, for a week or so. And then you can pull out the best elements from each idea and I'll put those all together and then you can start building your prototype. And when we say, think about the prototype physically, the shopping cart, think about other prototypes, think about how Apple had to build many, 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 many prototypes of the iPhone. Think about building prototypes of cars, of computers, all of these different things that are actual physical things in the world. And think about all of those things as a metaphor for your career and build about or go about building a prototype for your career. So when we talk a little bit more about prototyping your career, again, this is not a thought experiment. This is something that is a physical experience out in the world. And we're going to talk a little bit more, I believe, on the next slide about what those physical experiences can be. And so building this prototype, it allows you to try out a version of your potentially interesting future. So you get to do an internship, you get to do, a job or volunteering or any of these things that, so you can take a look at what you think you might be interested in and decide if you genuinely are interested in that. And then it helps you visualize alternatives. And again, in the physical world, there's one thing where you could, do a pro and con list, sitting by yourself at home at night. And that's one thing, but you can also build those pros and cons in the physical world as you're actually doing that particular job or prototyping that particular career. And it allows you to imagine your future as you're already living it, which is huge because, many of us need to be able to imagine what we'll be like in 5 years or 10 years in order to keep going, with your studies, with all of the things that you're trying to slog through right now. Being able to imagine the future that is waiting for you is a huge thing for you at this point in your life. So again, talking more about prototypes, what can it help you do? Number one, building a prototype, you have to involve others, right? we've already talked about that. You've got to talk to the experts. You've got to talk to the professionals. And what that's going to do is it's going to help you build your community and your network. And we've talked about having that network of people in your life that can help you, that can be your mentors, that can be the people that you go to for advice, professional or otherwise. So building that prototype is actually going to help you build that network, because you can't build a prototype all by yourself. You have to involve others. It's going to help you start conversations and find those unexpected opportunities. My favorite saying right now, the way I live my life every day, is to cultivate serendipity, which is to go out into the world every single day and try and find things that are unexpected, try and find things that are going to help you learn and grow. That's what serendipity is. And you can only do that by talking to other people, by going out, doing unexpected things, finding those opportunities where you can go and you can talk to people and you can grow your knowledge. And then the other thing it helps you do is, if you're going to fail, which we know we're going to fail, you're going to fail rapidly, and you're going to do it without over-investing. If you take a summer internship and it's absolutely awful and you hate it, you're only doing it for 3 months. You're not doing it, you didn't, interview for that job and take that job, and suddenly you're stuck in that job because you need the paycheck. So you are able to find out what you do and you don't want to do rapidly without over investing, and allows you to fail forward. Failing forward means that we know we're going to fail. So what are we going to do? We're going to take that and we're going to look at it and we're going to analyze it and we're going to learn from it. The gentleman in the video said it perfectly. You fail often in order to succeed sooner. So do you kind of get, going through these last couple of slides, why we watched that video, to just kind of give you that idea of a physical prototype, what that means as far as like prototyping your career, taking a physical thing and turning it into learning and developing. So let's talk a little bit about how you can prototype your career now, because you definitely want to do this now before you graduate, before you're kind of out there in the world. Take the opportunity now while you've got some time. And you can do a lot of that work by completing an internship. Many of you have done that. Many of you are planning to do it. Those of you who haven't done it yet, we've got time. We can work together with your academic advisor and find you an opportunity that is going to work for you. Finding a mentor, that's huge, whether it be in your area of study, or you can find that mentor that is part of your avocation or your hobby. Remember, we had the conversation about vocation versus avocation versus hobby. You can find mentors in all of those areas that will help you prototype what you would like to do as a career. Informational interviewing is a great way to get some information, and I have put some things in your binder. There's 2 pieces in your binder on informational interviewing, and if you want to set something like that up, let me know. We can certainly work with you to make that happen, whether it's somebody here at the university or somebody in industry or profession, in Bozeman or Montana or the country or wherever. Job shadowing, that's another great way to prototype very easily. something that you think you might like, job shadow for a week or a month and find out if that is really something that you indeed think that you might like. Going to conferences. Students should always be going to conferences. Volunteering, running for office, joining clubs, joining organizations. All of these different things are going to put you out there. You're going to be networking, you're going to be asking questions, you're going to be talking to people, you're going to be making connections, and those are the things that you need to do. Again, that's the brainstorming, that's the teamwork, that is, asking questions of somebody in your chosen profession, saying, how did you get started? What can I do to get started? What would you suggest I do in my spare time? What organization should I join in order to get more information? All of these things are things that you can do to prototype your career now. And then the last thing on the slide is what else? I'm sure you have many other ideas. Like the video said, the wilder the idea, the better. Don't say, "Oh, that's not going to work." Write the wild idea down, build on it, talk to people, talk to your fellow scholars, talk to me, and figure out how to turn that brainstorm into an actual prototype. So I think, and then there is one last thing that I put in your binders. There is a very short, it's not even a full chapter, it's probably just a few pages from this book, Defining Your Life, that is on prototyping and brainstorming. And it is in your binder along with the PowerPoint from this particular workshop. And so when you get a few minutes, check that out. It's short, it's easily read. It doesn't have an academic feel at all. So you might actually enjoy it after all the academic reading that you have been doing. So I think that is it for this particular workshop. Let me know about your questions, your concerns, your ideas, all of those good things. Stay in touch. You know where I am in the sub. You can email me, you can call me, you can come see me at any time. And let me know how you're feeling. Let me know what you need. And until we're together again, take care all.